I can already hear them now. I'm not afraid of no woman.
A lot of times because they gotten beat up a lot in those interactions, they don't want to go and face it again, so they're not willing to do that. He can just focus on his work, his business. That's why he'll start working more hours. He'll go to the gym. He'll hang out with his buddies. He'll do other things in his life. They're not happy with it. But I have seen so many videos where guys are like, I haven't had sex for 3 years. And, it's been 10 years for me. Or like, they're upset about these things. But notice they're still there. Anyway, that's what it is. So, but let's get into the actual.
Yeah, I'm like, we don't have our clock to tell.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even look at the time. But the actual topic, what I was going to call it is, why are men afraid of women? But it's sort of the answer to the question. So it might even be, the title of this podcast might even be why 90% of divorces are initiated by women.
That's good.
Because I want to give the answer to why that is the case, right? Which I would say it's because men are afraid of women. And there's a lot
What do you mean by that, John?
Well,
then I can already hear them now. I'm not afraid of no woman.
I've been coaching guys for a long time in relationships. And you see some of the emails and some of the conversations I have with guys, and you see it happen. And, there's the nice guy, the classic nice guy syndrome. And we know that, that guy's afraid of women, right? Because but there's this just deeper thing, right? Guys are afraid even to approach women, right? Even before they date, right? That's a thing. So there's a sort of deep-seated aversion to a woman being upset. That men want peace. They're sort of peacemakers, right? If you ask a man, what does he want? I just want peace, right? He doesn't want conflict. So a lot of men tend to avoid conflict and they avoid confrontation with women a lot of times because they gotten beat up a lot in those interactions. They don't want to go and face it again, so they're not willing to do that. And so a lot of men get to a point where they're walking on eggshells. They're just trying to do anything not to set her off. And that's where, again, the relationship can be falling apart. They might not even be happy. A man could be not, and part of it too, there's so many pieces to this, but part of it too is that, I've always said that a man builds his life around his purpose in life, and a woman builds her life around her man. And so if a man is unhappy in the relationship isn't doing great, then he can just focus on his work, his business. That's why he'll start working more hours. He'll go to the gym. He'll hang out with his buddies. He'll do other things in his life. And that's okay. And believe me, a lot of guys, they're not happy with it. But I have seen so many videos where guys are like, I haven't had sex for 3 years. And, it's been 10 years for me. Or like, they're upset about these things. Mm-hmm. But notice they're still there. They're still in the relationship.
Yeah. And why?
You don't see a lot of women that say, I've been neglected for 10 years.
Right.
And I'm still in a relationship. Okay. So that's where we're starting to get to the truth of it now. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's what's going on is that these men, they feel defeated. I get it. I understand. But they're afraid. They're afraid of the confrontation. And so they don't leave. They don't exit the relationship, even though it's not good for them. And they don't, it's not good for the woman either. And so that's what happens a lot of times. That's why, a guy could be in a totally miserable situation, but he'll go and find something else that will make him happy. Whereas if a woman builds her life around a man and really around her family and the relationship, that's what she builds her life around. Because women are relationally based. Men are ambition based or purpose based, right? They have a mission that, that's how they're based. Then if her relationship is not good, she might stick around for a while, but she doesn't have something else to distract her. She's not going to, start a business and that's going to fix her relationship, compartmentalize, right? Men can compartmentalize. And so she's going to fix that problem where she's either going to fix her relationship, right? Or she's going to leave the relationship, or unfortunately she'll cheat, whatever happens, but she's not going to stay in that state. Whereas a man will stay in that state forever, perpetually. And we've seen it with people we know.
But I'm like, guess I don't understand why they call that loyal, which I get that he's not technically leaving, but a lot of those men too that are in that situation do cheat,
Right.
and potentially never get caught too.
Right.
So like my definition would be that that's not loyal if that's the case. Now, if you haven't had your needs met in that long and you haven't done anything and you are just living like that, then yeah, I guess you are loyal, but you're also not giving her the love that she needs.
Right.
Because you're not getting what you need.
Right.
So no matter what any of those men say, I know that they're not actually being the healthy version of a relationship that a woman needs.
Right.
So really, it's just like this part of the plant is dying and it's going to eventually get to the other part.
Right.
But they're like, well, I'll hold on. I don't care if the whole thing dies, you know, because they're like, I'm not getting my needs met. But that is eventually going to bleed over to the other side.
Right.
Where either she's going to leave you now because, yeah, she's not doing things to meet your needs, but now you're not either.
Right.
Even if you don't realize it. And now she's going to leave.
Right.
Or you're both going to live as roommates because you're both not getting what you need. And you're probably both going to cheat on each other or something. Or either just live without those things and live like in a miserable state.
Well, I like what that clip we saw this morning said. The guy was like, in order for you to have a happy,
healthy
marriage,
yeah,
your wife has to feel loved. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to decide if she feels loved or not. And you don't get to write the rule book or open up your rule book of justifications of why she should feel loved.
Right.
She gets to decide that. Right. Mm-hmm. And so what a lot of guys' situation is they don't understand what they're doing wrong. In their mind, they're like, I'm doing everything that she should feel loved. I'm loyal. I work hard. I make money. I wake up early in the morning. I do all these things. I take her on trips. I do, you know what I mean? He has a list of all of these things that he does that she should feel loved. But so he thinks that it's justified in his mind that she should feel loved. Right. And so that's why this viewpoint is like, oh, she just got bored and left. She just took off with the kid. Some guy gave her attention. So she just accepted that attention because that's how women are. That's why a lot of men think like this, is because they think that they can define it. And again,
so surface level too.
Right.
They're not digging in. It goes back to the statistics thing. They're not digging into really why.
Right.
They're just looking at the things that they did to check off a list, but they're not looking at how that affected her.
Right.
Like you said, they're just doing the things,
right,
and they're like, you should be fine.
Right.
But they don't even really realize the depth of it.
It was like, I was thinking about it this week, actually, because I was thinking about, I don't know, because I was thinking about, like, this episode and some of the concepts about this, and I was like, it'd be silly for me, a lot of guys would think, like, I took you to the Maldives, and we're here in the Maldives, and so now, should you not be upset with anything that I do while we're here? Should you just be like, oh, well, he took me to the Maldives? That's unrealistic. That's not, but that is what a lot of guys will think. Mm-hmm. Right? Is because it's like, well, I've done this amazing thing for you. I take care of you. I do all these things for you. So you should overlook anything that makes you feel. How could you not feel loved?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how could I do something that makes you not feel loved? But that's not the thing. It's in the moment. It doesn't matter. You could do the most amazing. That's why that whole Tom Brady thing where I was like, you could be a famous, status, money, all the things, right? Mm-hmm. And a woman won't care. You could buy her the most Gucci purses and take her on the most extravagant trips and whatever you do. But if you're not in the little things showing her the love that matters to her, then it's not going to matter.
Right. Well, you basically said it, but I'll say it in a more plain term. You can't buy love.
Right.
Yes, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And yes, I am so grateful for all these things and, the things you do for me. But if you feel like somebody is doing things for you to pacify you,
right,
to make it so you can't complain about something, to make it so no matter what they do, you can't have an opinion on it or you
right,
can't feel a certain type of way, they don't want that. Like,
right,
a woman would rather never see the Maldives in her entire life
Right.
than have a man take her there and be like, you can't be upset with me. I took you to the Maldives.
Yes.
And years from now, be like, I took you on all these vacations. What are you talking about? Like,
Right.
a woman would give up all the material things
Right.
in order for her to feel loved and appreciated.